Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. We've got a fantastic show in the works, and we thank you for tuning in and checking it all out. Our next guest is an award-winning volunteer, mentor, and nonprofit professional. And she's with us today to reflect on the life of her late childhood friend, Bill Lopeman, and to place a spotlight on National Grief Awareness Day. So please welcome to the show, Janice Jenkins. Welcome, Janice.
Thank you, Dr. Bob.
So who is this wonderful friend that you're speaking of today?
Yeah, well, the reason I wanted to be on the show was because today is National Grief Awareness Day, August 30th. And I actually found out about the day because I was doing some research on grief supports. A close childhood friend of mine, Bill Lopeman, we knew each other since we were children. We grew up in the Bronx River houses, 2 floors apart. His mother babysat my siblings and me, and he and his sisters and my brother and my sister and me, we all hung out. So we knew each other. We knew each other as children, and we stayed in touch over the years. And as recently as January of this year, I was in touch with him. I texted him and said, hey, how you doing? What's going on with school? Because he was working on finishing up a bachelor's degree in psychology. He was finalizing his courses. And, I wished him well. I was excited that, he was finishing up. He had earned an associate's degree 3 years ago, and it was just a very proud moment for him. So I, wished him well. I was very excited for him. I was even thinking, oh, what am I going to get him for a graduation gift? Well, in March, he went to the emergency room. He wasn't feeling well. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cancer, and things just spiraled from there. He was diagnosed in March, and a few months later, he passed away. And it was just so unexpected and just so devastating to me. Someone I had known for so many years. He was working on his degree. He was finishing his degree. He was very community-minded, very smart, had a wonderful sense of humor. I was just laughing the other day about a picture that he sent me a few years ago. He had broken his leg, and he sent me a picture of his bandaged leg. He was in the hospital, and he sends me this picture of his leg all bandaged up, and that was him, and I just laughed, and I just laughed. And he was so family oriented. He took a significant role in organizing his family's reunions. He loved the Bronx. He loved our community. He was working on a film to highlight, growing up in our community. And I mean, for me, it's just such a tremendous loss. It's so unexpected. He had so much left to do.
Yeah. How did your family? Well, first, did you go and sign his cast?
I did not. I actually did not, but
you virtually signed it. But how did you? How did you guys cope with it?
Well, it's still fresh, and grief is one of those things. Grief is very individualized, and everyone copes with it differently. The way that I've coped with it is, I cry just about every day, and I stay busy with work. And I also, the reason I found out about National Grief Awareness Day was because, again, I've been doing some research, and I found a wonderful resource that I've been using and that I want to share with your viewers. So it's a website called speakinggrief.org.
Yeah.
And it's a national public media initiative. It includes a television documentary. It has a social media campaign, and they do community engagement events. And all of these are aimed at starting a national conversation about grief. Because even though grief is very natural, it's a natural response to losing someone you care about and love. For the most part, we're pretty silent about grief. Grief makes people uncomfortable. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to help. So when I went to this site, I watched the documentary, and the documentary is so frank and it's so real and honest. And I appreciated that. And there are also other resources on the site. So
what did you learn from the documentary? What did you learn from the documentary?
What did I learn from the documentary? What I learned from the documentary is that again, grief is individualized, and everyone has their way of coping and managing their grief. I also learned there were experts who were talking about grief, and they also talked about grief being very individualized. They talked about the fact that to support a griever, you don't have to offer a lot except being there to listen. You don't
Yeah.
have to solve a problem. You don't have to try to make them happy. The most important thing that they need is for someone to listen to them, to listen to their story, and to allow them to talk about the person that they lost. And that's one of the major lessons that I took away from this documentary. And I continue to go to the site. I continue to use the resources. There's a part of the site that deals with understanding grief, supporting grief. There's a part that deals with grieving. There are other videos. There are experts who talk about grief. One of the experts, she wrote a book. I believe the title is It's Okay That You're Not Okay. And I bought a copy of the book, and that is exactly the book that I needed at this time, because it let me know that, I'm going, that what I'm going through is, it's a natural response, and my grief needs to be individualized. And I feel so supported by, going on that site.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. People grieve in their own way, and sometimes people don't have time, especially with COVID, the pandemic. People really didn't have time to grieve the right way.
Correct.
I can throw my hands in the air to that one. And then people have to find that time to grieve. You think this day, National Day of Grief Awareness, can be a day where people can maybe come within and grieve and just let it all out that particular day?
Absolutely. So National Grief Awareness Day, it was actually founded in 2014 by a grief specialist and author named Angie Cartwright. And she had suffered some significant personal losses in her life. And I think she chose that day, August 30th, because it was her mom's birthday and she had lost her mom. And for the most part, the day is designed to encourage open communication on loss and bereavement. Because again, for the most part, we try to stay really silent about grief. We think that grief has to look a certain way. We think that grief has a timeline. Grief doesn't look a certain way, and there's certainly no timeline. Like, I'm going to be grieving this loss probably for the rest of my life, because Bill was just he was such a wonderful friend. I mean, he was a tremendous support system. He was one of those people who just didn't talk it. He walked it. Like, if he said, Janice, I want to support you in doing X, Y, Z, he actually took action steps to support me. One of the things that
you know what, Janice? You know what?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to live in your heart forever.
Yeah.
He's going to be right there. So you can carry on, have fun. And, this is how you come out of the grief too. Have fun with it, and, know that they're right there with you every step of the way. And when you do something or say something that reminds you of him, you can say, all right, stop messing with me. I got you. And you can laugh about it. That's how we have to conduct ourselves. So what support services are people who are suffering? Where can they go? And then they're going to give me a hard wrap. I got about 30 seconds.
So like I said, the speakinggrief.org site is definitely a good starting place for people, because if I remember correctly, there is a section on resources that I believe can connect folks to resources that they may need. So I would definitely encourage people to go to that site. Also, Speaking Grief has an Instagram site. So it's WPSU Grief. And again, posts that are informative and very, very helpful. So I really do encourage people to go to that site. Spend some time today, just going through the site and watching the documentary. Call someone who is grieving and just let them know that you're thinking about them, and learn how to be a better supporter of someone who is grieving.
And where can we go to find out more about you?
My website is AuntJaniceTheMentor.blog.
Thank you so much, my darling. Janice Jenkins, mentor, volunteer, and nonprofit professional. Janice, thank you. We appreciate you. And if you're into sports,
the opportunity.
I want you to stay tuned, kick off your shoes and relax your feet, because Bobby C is in the room. He steps into the room with the latest in the world of sports next.